As the Federal Reserve raised its benchmark interest rate by 3/4 of a percentage point Wednesday, the housing market is feeling the effects. According to Freddie Mac, the 30-year fixed mortgage rate is now at 6.29%. That is the highest rate in 14 years and up more than a quarter from just last week. I spoke with a couple who's contemplating their next steps.
I do like the neighborhood.
Bernard and Anna Busico started house hunting in suburban New Jersey more than a year ago. What's it like in this market as a first-time home buyer?
Almost feels like it's impossible to buy a home. The prices are still way too high for what you're going to get.
Those high prices, along with high mortgage rates and low inventory, have put many homes out of reach for prospective buyers. Realtor Hope Rosenberg sees it with some of her own clients.
You're a first-time home buyer and your step-up buyer are being most affected. The step-up buyer who will currently sell in this market will get a lot of money for their home, but they are going to be paying a premium for their next home.
The median existing home price in August was nearly $400,000, an almost 8% jump from August of 2021. So for a $300,000 mortgage, the monthly payment would be $1,855, $554 more than at the end of last year. CBS News business analyst Jill Schlesinger.
The pace of the increase is pretty stunning at a time when home prices have not really fallen yet.
The Busicos say they're committed to finding that perfect home for their family of four. What would buying a home for the first time mean for you?
So
it's part of the American dream.
It's part of the American dream, and you want that little piece, your land, so you always have something. Maybe you can give it to your kids.
While interest rates are the highest they've been in 14 years, analysts say it's a long way from the 14 or even 16% rates seen in the 1980s. For more, I want to bring in Igor Popov. He is the chief economist at Apartment List, an online marketplace for listings. Igor, welcome. Thanks very much for speaking with us. So, it's really interesting to talk to the Busicos and hear their experience. They're not discouraged, but it has been more than a year now. What advice do you have for first-time home buyers who've waited long enough to buy their dream house?
Absolutely. It is. First, we need to acknowledge it. It is a brutal market for first-time home buyers, and it has been for a while. 12 months ago when rates were low, we were still talking about how hard it was to purchase that first home and leave the rental market. And even at a time when rates were low, just because home prices and the subsequent down payments that families needed were really running away from them. So I think right now, the name of the game is patience, and that's not going to sound very reassuring to many, but prices have not really fallen dramatically yet. There's a lot of momentum in the housing market, but ultimately, there are a couple of things at play. Home sellers are not extremely motivated to sell or to move. Many of them have locked in and refinanced at very low mortgage rates. Moving means all of a sudden paying that 6% mortgage rate on a new home. That really cuts into the home price they're getting. But for those sellers that are motivated, they will create opportunities in the market because the demand for new homes is just not what it was a year ago because of these high interest rates. There will be opportunities, but right now they feel few and far between for first-time home buyers.
So where do you think the housing market is heading, given what you just laid out?
Yeah, I think it's really a different story right now for the for-sale market and the rental market. And both, with a little bit of context, have just been on a roller coaster ride throughout the pandemic. If we think about the rental market, in a normal year pre-pandemic, rents grew for new leases at about 3% a year. In 2021, rents boomed nationally by 17% for new leases. So those people that essentially were signing new leases in the marketplace were facing an extremely hot market. The rental market is starting to normalize. So rent growth is decelerating. Kind of that sports car of rent growth is hitting on the brakes, even though it's still going fast. And vacancies are starting to come back. The market is easing a little bit. So the rental market feels like it's normalizing. The for sale market feels like it's getting weirder and getting stuck. We have home buyers and sellers that wish it was 2021 again. Home buyers are feeling the pain because they have to now pay 6% interest rates when last year they might have only needed to pay 2.5% or 3%. And home sellers are feeling the pain because home prices are not able to achieve those high sales prices that they were getting potentially last year, and inventory is sitting as a result. So we're at a point where the rental market is starting to normalize, but the concern is that the for sale market is really kind of getting stuck as many people can't afford to buy, and many people also can't quite afford to sell and get a new home either at these new rates.
Do you think, though, Igor, at the same time, there's a possibility here for a correction in the for sale market, right? At a time when you do see buyers pulling back because of these monthly mortgage payments climbing out of reach. I mean, is this potentially a correction moment for the housing market?
I think so, to some degree. You know, I think the consensus right now is correction, not crash. You know, the fundamentals are still strong in the economy to support, you know, unfortunately for many, fairly high housing prices, fortunately for some. But, you know, it is, again, there's a lot of momentum in the for sale market. Prices haven't fallen yet, but they will. You know, it's very hard to remember that your neighbor sold a similar home last year for much more than you can get now. So I think a lot of sellers, they're still listing to where they want to get their home sold at those 2021 prices from that 2021 market. And those homes are sitting. And so, you know, I think that the lesson for sellers, unfortunately, is, you know, don't covet thy neighbor's selling price. Maybe some people wish they would have sold would be able to sell their stocks or their equities at 2021 prices. That's hard for people to do in the housing market as well. The 2021 prices are harder to achieve now that those stories about bidding wars, those stories about multiple cash offers that we were seeing all across the country, those have been largely starting to get wiped out by these new rate increases.
Timing really is everything. Igor Popov. Igor, thank you so much for your insight. We appreciate it.
Thank you.